right. What's up, everybody? Let's see. Go to full screen mode and
Recording.
tell me if you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Bam. All right. Cool. So first of all, we always talk about the mindset of what we're doing. So we got to get in the right mindset if we're going to talk to people. And that's going to be critical to basically being able to have success. You have to start with the right mindset. And we're going to talk about your selecting a neighborhood, how to get data, where to get what to do with that list of data, what to say to people, the follow-up machine that you should be putting them into, and reflex nose, and going deep on a farm or into your entire city. So that's our agenda. Let's jump right in. We got a lot to get through, and be sure to take notes. Okay. So first of all, your mindset. Okay. Why do you have call reluctance? That's like one of the first things we have to address. It's like, why am I not getting on the phone, right? Why am I not talking to people? So Steve, how do you deal with call reluctance?
Yeah, that's the biggest obstacle is really just making that first call. And I found that once you make one or two calls, that seems to go away pretty quickly. It's really just picking up the phone and making those first couple of calls. So what I was taught is if you make an easy call first, like just get on the phone and call one of your past clients or, a sphere of influence that, is going to be nice to you and talk to you. That's a good way to just kind of get the ball rolling. Or if you do some role play beforehand, that always helps as well with another agent.
That's awesome. Good. That's good stuff. Also, another thing that we were taught, Steve, right, is tie the activity that you're doing with a result that you want. So that's why we talk about your dream board, right? Keep that in mind. Like if I do this activity, it helps me get to that result.
Yep. Absolutely.
What's the worst thing that could happen when you're calling somebody, Steve?
The worst thing is they're going to tell you to fuck off, or they're going to hang up on you. I mean, it happens.
That's it.
Right. And if that happens, I just kind of laugh and I thank them for not wasting my time and just go to the next one. That's all you can do.
And the alternative is a positive mindset of what's the best thing that happens? They book an appointment, they list with you, you earn a commission, they refer you business. Like what if that happens, right?
And
so it's all mindset. Get over it and just do it. All right. So selecting a neighborhood. When we select a neighborhood for just sold, we want to find a neighborhood that has a high turnover. High turnover means people move frequently. People list their homes frequently. That percentage varies from city to city, from neighborhood to neighborhood. I've seen like a good neighborhood be like 6%. Most title reps will tell you, oh, we'll help you find data that's like 10% or more. Right now, you're not going to find anywhere probably where it's 10% or more, right? Also a hot area. Like where does everyone want to be? Is there like a certain pocket in your market, Steve, where it's like everybody talks about that?
Yeah, there's quite a few of those. I mean, really what it comes down to is you have to look at the price points and, typically areas that have right around the median house price, those are the ones that have the most activity. Either people are, moving in, first-time home buyers, or people are moving out because they want to get a bigger house with, they have more kids or they're making more money or whatever. So those are typically the ones that people, they buy them as kind of a starter home or, a first home when they have their first kid. And then, I typically like to call around those areas because there's always people moving in our area. That's like, 275 to 350 range.
Nice. Okay. So there's plenty of those.
Yeah.
Another way to approach it is like, where do you want to farm? Like, where do you want to be selling homes, right? Break into a new place. Or another thing to think about is where is there opportunity for market share? Like maybe there's not a lot of agents that do, there's 20 different agents that have sold a home in a particular area. There's nobody dominating. That could be another approach that you take. But the most obvious is where have you done a deal? Right?
Yes, sir.
So right now, Steve, you're getting a lot of these just sold calls going with the team, and you're just choosing properties you've sold and neighborhoods you've sold a lot, right?
Yeah, recent sales. I mean, most of them are just, ones that I've just sold the last month or two. And I'm just calling around those neighborhoods, and we're finding probably, one out of every, it's the same as always, probably one out of every 50 people are thinking about selling.
Nice. So the obvious question would next be like, how do you get a hold of these people? Right. So
Right.
you could obviously door knock them or drop a flyer on them, but we actually go get the data from a companies, right? And there's
Now,
a
are we
lot
going
of
to talk about like open houses in those areas at all, or not?
Oh, I don't have that on the agenda,
Okay.
but we could dive into
That's
that.
yeah, I mean, that's a really good area. If you just list a house, we've talked about this many times. If you just list a house, strategically you want to list it like on a Thursday and have an open house and start the showings on a Saturday, like at noon. And what a great idea to do is to go knock on the doors like an hour and a half ahead of time, knock on all the doors in the neighborhood, try to hit like 25 of them at least. And if nobody answers, you leave like a door hanger, or you leave a flyer or something showing, that the open house is happening. And that's a great way to start canvassing or marketing to an area.
Yeah. And that goes like into the little bit of this kind of be a blend with open houses is what you're saying. It's like you could do the neighborhood marketing and build up a little inventory just by reaching around your open houses. I would always do, and I'll throw this out there, I would always invite the neighbors an hour before. So it was like a VIP private showing just for the neighbors. So,
Yes, sir.
But okay, so getting data, there's a lot of places you can go to Vulcan 7, you go to Red X, you could go to Mojo. They're usually called, geo leads is what Red X calls them. Mojo might call them neighborhood leads. Vulcans, they all call them something different, but you're basically getting neighborhood data on all kinds of homeowners that are in a broad area, not specific like expired or FSBO. Okay. Then you just start. So once we get the data, once we find a place for you to get data, let's say we're going to do Red X. Okay. You want to search for the geo leads, go into their products, find the geo leads, and then they have geo leads for, again, this is the just sold data, the neighborhood data, $49 a month. They're going to give you 2,000 addresses and phone numbers, or you can pay for their upgrade, of course, of 5,000, up to 3 numbers per lead. You can filter them. You can do a boundary search, which I'm going to show you right now. You can do all kinds of zip codes in your area. Okay. So pick a package and don't overthink it, get it. And then they're explaining how it works. You target a specific neighborhood. You're going to draw a map on the pin, draw a map or drop a pin. And then it's going to display all the homes in that area. So if this works properly, okay. Next, you need a dialer. You need to be able to contact them. And Steve, you've been using Mojo for what?
Well, let me back up. Red X has a dialer too, so
yes,
you can dial from Red X. Either go with one or the other. If you're just going to use a dialer for just listed, just sold calls or geo leads, use Mojo. But if you plan on doing other types of leads like FSBO, canceled and expired, I would suggest just starting out and using Red X, because Red X has all that combined, and you can actually, without the dialer, with just a one-line dialer, I think you get the one-line dialer included with everything. Maybe not with Red X.
Yes, they have a storm dialer. I think it's called, for $100 a month.
Okay. Yeah, so you can get away with a couple $100 a month, like $250 a month, and you can get a whole package from Red X. So that's probably the way to go for most of us.
Yeah. Mojo, Mojo has neighborhood search data as well. So you can see if you're going the Mojo route, a lead manager, a dialer, and neighborhood search, $148 a month for a single line dialer.
Okay.
What are your thoughts for everybody, Steve, on triple line, single line? If they're just getting started, is single line good enough?
I'll say this: if you're going to do this full time, you plan on doing it, you might as well just get the triple line dialer.
It's an extra like $50, I think, right?
Yeah, and that price for Mojo seems a little high. The one lead, managed, licensed, triple line dialer, neighborhood expired debt. Yeah, that's because you're getting expired debt. Okay. Again, I would just go with Mojo. I would go with Red X personally.
Cool.
Because you're going to get everything a lot, it's going to be a lot better data. I've only used the data from Mojo for the just listed, just sold, which is seems very good.
Sweet. Data quality is critical. Now, obviously, we're telling you to call people. We need to put a disclaimer out there that don't spam people. Don't be jerks to people. We're not giving any legal advice.
You're supposed to use the do not call list. You're supposed
to,
and those services do that.
Yeah. They filter it against the do not call list. So just put it out there. We're not telling anybody to spam anybody, follow the laws, be compliant. All right. Okay. So for RedX, this is what you do. You click on the geo leads when you log in, then you can put the address of the actual property that you just sold. So you type in the address of the just sold property. So I'm just doing an example here for you, right? So type in the address of the property that just sold in the area that you want to target. Okay. Then as soon as you hit search, it plops it on there. So there's a little red pin that's dropped on there. Then you can say, I want to find the nearest 200, 400, 500 homes. And you can filter it down to like how many leads you want to get, because you get a certain amount of credits depending on what plan you get. Okay. So search, choose how many you want. Then you could do a neighborhood search, a boundary search. You can search for even a certain street. Like I only want to call in a certain street, right? Okay. So, but for our example, I'm going to just choose a boundary, and I'm going to draw a boundary around this neighborhood, around this property. Okay. So it's going to find the nearest 300 homes inside of this radius around this property that I'm drawing. Okay. And then I'm going to hit preview, and it's going to populate how many homes. Now, because I drew a small boundary, obviously it only found 46 properties. So if I drew a bigger boundary, it would actually pull 300 homes. Now I can filter it down a little bit more and say, hey, I only want to find homeowners that have owned their property at least so many years. Because maybe I don't want to call somebody that's only lived there 6 months. I can expand that. And then I preview the data, and then however many it finds based on your criteria and the map you drawn, or if you did a neighborhood search, it pulls all that data and you hit get leads. When you hit get leads, it's going to pull them right into RedX, and you'll be able to see all of the leads that are in that criteria, their phone numbers, their addresses, everything. Okay. So now it's got all of their addresses. And now what we want to do is if we're going to take that data somewhere else, we would export it. So that would be the next step if you're not using RedX's dialer. Okay. Mojo has a sync, but sometimes it fails. So you can export the data from Mojo, and you can take it anywhere, really, right? You could put this in another platform and start calling them, texting them, depends on how you want to follow up with them. Then you're going to export them as a CSV and save them.
Yeah, but all you got to do is just use, if you get RedX, you can just use it there and call from RedX. So
correct.
That's
Correct.
the way to do it.
Yeah, we've been doing it other ways, but yeah, that's the simplest way is to just, you don't even need to export the data.
No.
Okay, cool. All right, so now let's see if my next slide will work here. Okay, so for Mojo, what we're going to do is you can obviously buy it through Mojo. It's the same process with Mojo. Okay, you can draw a little map search, enter the address that you want to call around. Step 2. Step 3 would be to draw the map with all your criteria that you want. Choose a list to import it to, and then you've successfully imported the data. Okay, next. Okay, and if you're going to import the data, that's a whole nother process. I'm going to skip that since it would already be there. Okay. Bam. All right. Make sense so far?
Makes sense.
All right. So we've got data, we've got a dialer. Now, what do we say? Okay. So if you want to download the script, you can go to b.link/JS script. Okay. So that's a shortcut to this script that you see on the screen right here. This is the script that is for just sold specifically. Obviously, it would tweak it a little bit if you were calling just listed or something else. But the goal of this is to get past the reflex no and find gauge their interest. So Steve, how when we say reflex no, what are we talking about?
95% of the people, when you ask this first question, hi, this is Steve with eXp Realty. I was reaching out because we just sold a home in your area and it sold for over list price. The great news is we're working with several buyers who missed out on that house. And I was wondering, when were you planning on selling? I'm not selling. So that's a reflex no, or no. Yes, usually they're just going to say no or something like that. So no, I can appreciate that. Or never, right there, never. Okay, well, I can appreciate that. So you don't ever plan on selling. Well, who else do you know that might be planning on selling? And even though you think they're going to be upset, even though you think all this shit in your head, 25% of them might actually are going to actually respond to that next question. Okay, if you did move, where would you go next? You'll be surprised how many people will say no to the first question, and then you keep talking. I'd say 25% of them will continue talking. So the key to being successful at this is not just asking the first question, because 90% of the time, 95% of the time, you're going to get a reflex no. The key of the whole thing is to overcome that with one or two more questions. That's when you're going to open up conversation. That's when you're going to build rapport. That's when you're going to find out if they really know anybody or if they are really going to sell in the near future.
And the nice thing about that is it's a mindset thing that really works on every single script, right? No matter what script it is, we're going to throw a expired script at you. You got to get past the reflex no's. And so just ask the next question on the script, period, regardless of who you're talking to or whatever the scenario is. Okay, so that's the script in a nutshell. It's not a complex script. There's not a lot of crazy objections to that you need to be worrying about right now. You just need to be talking to people and gauging interest and gauging, are they interested or not? If not, move on to the next person. Anything else you want to say about this, Steve?
No, it's, that's the hardest part is getting that rejection, that reflex no. But you got to make a game of it. You have to make it fun. You have to just assume that you're going to hear that quite a bit. And, I hear it, and just the fact that I know I'm going to have to say something afterwards, sometimes I just kind of giggle, it's like, okay, because a lot of people say, I'm going to stay here until they have to take me out in a pine box. I hear that all the time. And I just laugh and I say, I don't blame you. You live in a great neighborhood and we have a lot of people wanting to move in there. So I was curious, who else might that could be selling in the near future in the neighborhood? And then they'll, you lighten it up with a little, joke or a comment. They will lighten up. They'll talk to you and you'll get business that way. You have to be consistent about it.
And if you go through the process we just showed you, get the data, get a dialer, use this script, you're going to talk to 10 to 15 people an hour. Right now, the team that we have calling, they're using this script and they're talking to 10 to 14, somewhere in there, people every single hour with this script. So it's just, you're going to move through this. So let's talk about that. So what are the benefits of doing this? There's less competition, right? There's not as many people talking to these because they're not expireds that everybody has a list of. Number two, you're kind of just moving dirt, right? This is like let's just get through. Let's mine for the inventory. Let's find the houses just by
digging for gold, baby.
Digging for gold, baby. We talked about inviting to an open house. It's another strategy. One thing that people forget about is you're playing on their curiosity. People are nosy. They want to know, well, the Johnsons sold the house down the street. What did that house end up going for? That's curiosity that we all have. Play into that.
A lot of people will start talking to you. Yep.
Yeah. You could go, so look at this two different ways. You could go deep, like, hey man, I really want to own a neighborhood. I really want to build a farm. Cool. Go deep. You can call them, you could door knock them, you could drop flyers on them, hold open houses in this area, just own that area.
Yeah. And if you're going to get a lot of people too that are not selling this year, but they're going to sell a year or two down the road, you can start building a huge list. Everybody on that list that, says they're going to sell in the next year or two, if you really want to dive deep into this and you want to farm an area and you start calling this area, you'll find out a handful of people that are moving next year or 2 years down the road. Not only are you going to send a consistent mailer to them like you are the entire farm area, but you might want to drop them a handwritten note and say, something like, hey, we talked 6 months ago, I just wanted to write you a note, say that the market conditions are really good right now. I was wondering if anything changed or if you're still planning on selling in a year. Give me a call anytime for a market evaluation, Steve. And that'll get their attention. You write the ones that are really hot and are going to move in the next year or two, write them a note. I mean, you guys follow this system, you're going to do 25 to 50 deals a year just off of a farm this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, send them and put them on an email newsletter. A lot of people do this with like viral marketing. They just throw everybody's email. They collect 3 to 5 names and emails every day. They put them in. After a year, you got 800, 900 people that are getting your email newsletter, and it's just a follow-up game at that point. So that's my next point is you're casting a wider net. You're going wide, and you can start getting a list of interested people in your entire city, not just a specific neighborhood. You could like, hey, this week I'm calling this development. Then the next week I'm calling that development. You start owning a little piece of the entire city and dominate by doing this. Okay, so what are the next steps? What are the action steps? What are the takeaways for everybody? Choose a neighborhood. There's 3 things you got to do. Choose a neighborhood, get the data, get the dialer going, and start calling. That's it. This is the easiest like lead source to get going, really. It's
the easiest. It's really the easiest lead source to talk to on the phone, from my experience. Making 7,000-8,000 calls a year, which I did for many, many years. These were always the ones that I would add in, towards the end of the day when I needed to get more contacts. And I always found that they were really easy calls to make because those people haven't been inundated with calls. And you get somebody on the phone every once in a while. And I've done these before and talked to, somebody in the neighborhood and ended up selling 3 or 4 homes in that neighborhood over a 6-month period. So it is
nice.
Like digging for gold. You don't know who you're going to talk to or what type of contacts you're going to get unless you do it.
Bam. All right. Anybody have questions, comments? We gave you a script, and I'll put that on the website. There's a link to that in the chat. We gave you the tools to use, what to say to people, how to approach this, how to have the mindset to just make the first call. What questions do you guys have? If any. If not, we might have slam dunked it.
Oh yeah, I know.
If you're in the Illinois area, Steve's gonna talk about this a little bit more tonight as well. Any of our events, all of the events, every single week, role play, John's trainings, which are right before this, are always good. There's another call on Thursdays. Go to extremeagentsevents.com.
And guys, I'm gonna put Jesse on the spot. And I'm going to put myself on the spot tonight at the coaching call. I'm going to contact 3 or 4 warm leads that we have in these from the circle prospecting that we've been doing, just to see if I can get a hold of them tonight. And Jesse, if you could get me that list of those so I can dial those people tonight, even the ones that said they're no longer interested, that were hot at one point. Yeah. I'm going to call them and see if we can get an appointment from anybody. If you get me 10, if there's 10 of them, I bet we can get 1 appointment.
There's 10. I think you're good enough. You can get 3 appointments.
We'll see. If they answer the phone, that is.
All right. So you guys RSVP, go to extremeagentsevents.com, RSVP for tonight. If you're going to be in the area, make it fun, network, learn some more, connect with people, share this with other agents. This is also a great way for us to attract agents to the company, to the team. We'll help you help them, and everybody gets better and grows. So
right on.
Anything else?
No questions, guys?
I think we're good.
All righty. Over
Cheers.
and out.
Bam. Have a great day, everybody.